Hi, my name is Patrick Ediger, and I'm the principal designer of Patrick Ediger Interior Design. I'm based in Los Angeles, California, and I'm also a co-founder of French American Wallpaper. We're a boutique wallpaper company, also based right here in California. My background's in theater, and my education is in theater arts, and I focused on set design and directing. So after school, I did a lot of actually during school, after school, I did a lot of summer stock theater and I started really getting into scenic painting. And that led me to do scenic painting for local theaters, and that led me to do decorative painting, like Venetian plaster, trompe-l'oeil, things like that, and I started working for other interior designers. And during that time, I made friendships with them, and I really started to recognize that, you know what, I think I would rather be the visionary in this situation than the technician. It was about 4 or 5 years after we'd met that I left my company, started doing my own thing, and during that time working with my previous company, I had experience creating wallpaper, using wallpaper. I mean, this was in the mid 2000s, 2004, 2005, 2006, when wallpaper was having, this its comeback, its resurgence. And so I think I just approached him one day and said, "Hey, do you want to start creating some designs together?" And there was really never an intention for a business. I think that was kind of a pipe dream. I thought, we can put these things out and see what happens. But we just started creating designs together. And that led to a focus on muralized style designs. So all of our wallpapers are in mural style. They're sold in panels, and we print digitally as well. So everything's on demand, and we do a lot of custom work for hotels and restaurants and commercial spaces, as well as we have a standard line we sell through Una Milan showroom here in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Our field, especially in Southern California, has become very, very oversaturated with designers, and not just with designers, with really, really excellent designers. And so the way we go about getting work is very, very different than when I started. I think that for the first 5, 6, 7 years of my business, everything was word of mouth. Everything was referral. And in the last 3 or 4 years, I've had to put so much more time and effort and money into marketing my business and myself than I ever did before. And I think it's because more and more people are wanting to be able to understand you, see you, research you, figure you out online themselves, versus just taking the word of somebody else. And so a lot more time and a lot more effort is put into that. And then I think the third thing that is really, really challenging is, and I would call this the existential element, is that, and part of this is my own awakening, part of this is the awakening that our industry has had, is the overwhelming amount of waste that our industry is producing, both in the construction and in the furnishing sides of things. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of quality in the materials and in the furniture. And so many things are going into, landfills, and so many things are being wasted. And it is, to me, what the next 20 or 30 years of our industry is going to be about, correcting that issue. My grandfather was in the military. My grandmother was an officer's wife, and they were stationed in Western Europe post World War II. Really the early 40s through the late 50s. And that's where my mom and her siblings were born. And during that time, my grandmother, had time to go out and her hobby became antiquing and, designing and filling their home with the things that she found. And so, as a kid, I don't know that I really recognized how special they were. It was more things that were subliminally seeping into me, and but it was just something that I was surrounded with in my childhood. And so I've always had this connection to specifically, Western European antiquity. And my favorite eras are the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. My focus, especially in the last few years, has really been on working specifically with clients with older homes. So, that kind of comes in two forms. One is, a client buys an amazing 1920s, 30s old Spanish home that has been remodeled, 15 times over the decades and is barely recognized anymore. And we're turning back the clock and creating a home that feels more of the vintage of the house. And then the other is, working with the older homes that have been well preserved, but then infusing them with contemporary sensibilities, with kitchens and bathrooms that meet, my clients' lifestyles. And so that really has become my focus. The other thing I'm working on right now is a book on sustainable interior design, and I'm slowly taking my time with it. It's one of those topics that when I started this project, it's my naivety that I thought, oh, this will be something that just rolls out of me. And the longer I've worked on it, the more I've recognized that we are just scratching the surface of this subject. I originally went to school to be a vocal performance major. My formative years was filled with theater and musical theater, and when I went to college, I thought, this is what I'm going to do with my life, and I still love it. But I think after I got to college, I recognized how many people are extremely talented in that area, and B, that it wasn't going to music theory classes, taking piano lessons, taking vocal lessons, eating, sleeping, drinking music just wasn't my passion. And so I, ended up next door at the theater building, where I did really find something that was a driving passion.